Hi, Ian, and thanks for taking part in Digital Music Trends. I'd like to start by asking you to explain briefly to our listeners what Songkick is and what it does.
Sure. Thanks for having me on the program. Songkick is all about live music. It's for live music fans. We don't do anything recorded music or publishing. We're just about live music. And we do two things. We help you find upcoming concerts, and then we help you share experiences from concerts. So when it comes to finding upcoming concerts, what we do is we crawl the web, 29 different ticket sites, to pull all that information into one place so you can see all the different concerts happening for a specific city or a specific artist, and then find the cheapest ticket for that. And we'll also proactively alert you about concerts in your area by looking at your iTunes library and figuring out which bands you like. And then for the past stuff, what we do is we have a huge database of past concerts, and you can go through that database, find concerts you were at, and say that you were at them, and build what we're calling a gigography of all the gigs you've been to. And you can share photos, set lists, videos, and reviews with other fans that were there.
You recently moved from being a site that provided users with updates on their favorite band's latest gigs to being actually a huge database of past and present gigs with photo and video upload functionalities. Was this part of the original plan for Songkick, or did you develop these ideas on the go after the first version was launched?
Yeah, it was a sort of a mix, really. So, I mean, we started out with Songkick with a very simple idea, which was that we thought it was too much hassle to find out what was going on with live music. More effort than it would be with, say, going to the cinema or going out to try and find a restaurant. So we started out with this really simple idea of making going to concerts as easy as going to movies. And then kind of over time, we started realizing that, all we were doing really was dealing with the lead up to the concert. And actually a lot of our kind of strongest sort of experiences happen kind of after the concert, when you're on a huge high from coming out from an amazing event. And we wanted to give people a way to sort of share some of their experiences from that with other people who were there.
You already have about 1 million gigs on the database when you went live last week. How did you gather all the data?
Yeah, so that was a huge task, because we didn't want to, we wanted a fan to be able to come on the site and search for their first gig, maybe back in 1982, and find it and just be really blown away by that experience, and then get really involved building a gigography of all the gigs they've been to since. And that meant aggregating an unbelievably large amount of data. I mean, we have data going all the way back to the 60s. And thousands of complete tour histories for bands like Radiohead, Bob Dylan, etc. And what we found was that there's data all over the internet on a specific band's live music history. There'll be a blog post somewhere talking about Pearl Jam's tour in a particular year, or there'll be a fan site talking about Arcade Fire's tour dates, or there'll be a forum post somewhere talking about it, and about maybe Nirvana's tour at this particular time. But it's all fragmented by artist and by tour across tens of thousands of sites. And so what we did is we aggregated all the data from those sites using a mixture of kind of information retrieval techniques and some kind of like manual techniques that we sort of figured out how to scale up. So it was a pretty vast project, really. But we believe that there should be an archive on the web for all of live music history. So we wanted to. If we were going to ask fans to help us kind of build that archive, we wanted to start out with something really substantial to show that we were kind of serious about it.
London and Shoreditch have become a hub for successful internet startups, and the most influential to date has probably been Last.fm.
Yeah.
How did you find the process of raising capital to build Songkick in the UK? Were the investors receptive to the business plan, or did you have to go over to the US? How did it work for you?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think what you say about sort of Shoreditch and kind of music, Last.fm have definitely been a hugely inspiring company for a lot of people in the UK, especially us. But in terms of raising capital, we actually first went to the States to raise capital with a seed stage investment program called Y Combinator in Boston. And then we raised some money from angels in California, New York, and London. So we had quite a kind of broad investor base to start out with. For example, we had the guy that founded TicketWeb. We had the guy that previously ran Nielsen SoundScan. Some guys from kind of with the music industry background, consumer web background, etc. And I think that because live is such a strong space in terms of kind of potential revenues, and because we had a kind of quite a big vision for where we wanted to take the company, we were quite fortunate in terms of in terms of how we managed to raise capital. but it's always a challenge raising money, and you just have to put energy into it really, and make sure that you've kind of really thought through your plans, and you kind of get yourself in front of the investors that really understand your space rather than the ones who aren't interested in it. And we were very lucky to be backed by a really great venture capital firm in the UK. So it's gone well so far.
I just wanted to tap into the business model for Songkick. Is it correct to presume that you're mostly aiming at making a revenue out of affiliate ticket sales and live music advertising, or do you have any other plans for the site?
We do have some other ideas in the background that we'll kind of explore later on. But in the kind of early stages, there's two big areas. One is commerce related to live music. So that's, that could be tickets, but it could also be a poster from a concert you went to, or a live recording of the concert. That's some, for example, Live Here Now is a group within EMI, Mute Records, that record concerts and then kind of sell them off the event. That's another kind of opportunity. Then there's things like merch and all the type of commerce that's related to the live event. And then, as you say, there is this opportunity with kind of advertising and kind of capturing some of the brands that want to be associated with live music. But yeah, those are the first two. And then there are some other ideas further down the line.
And I was wondering, could you explain to our listeners what kind of tools you developed to allow people to import large amounts of data into Songkick without having to manually input their favorite artists? And I think this is a great implementation because you have a piece of software and you also have an integration with Last.fm.
Yeah, so what we built is some plugins for iTunes, Windows Media Player, and Winamp, and they're very simple. You just download them. It looks at your library, figures out all the bands you've seen, uploads that to our servers, and then we automatically start tracking tours for those bands. So if any of those bands, come to your city, you'll get an email saying, "Hey, Arcade Fire just announced a date in London or New York." But we also did an integration with Last.fm to pull your top 50 artists from there. From your listening history there. So if you've already got something that tracks what you listen to, you can use that instead. And we really admire what Last.fm have built. So we wanted to kind of make sure that people who use their service and love their service kind of could quite easily get engaged with Songkick.
Yeah, and I must stress as well to our listeners how easy especially the plugins are, because anytime you hear about a plugin, you think, oh God, it's going to take ages. I have a huge music library. But I have a really large library, and it took literally about 30 seconds to upload all the data, and it was up there on Songkick.
That's fantastic to hear.
And I was wondering, are you planning to integrate your features with any other social network, like Facebook or Twitter, in any way via applications or via other different forms?
Yes, we are. I mean, one thing we did with the site is we built it to be in to have a real-time feed all the way through it. So, for example, if you go to an artist page on our site, you can see all the things that have recently happened to that artist, whether it's somebody uploading a photo from a concert last night or a poster from a concert 10 years ago, or saying they're going to go to a concert next week. And all of those feeds will kind of allow us to syndicate data out to social platforms that are also becoming very feed-based. So whether it's kind of Twitter or MySpace or Facebook, we've definitely got that on the roadmap as kind of key integrations to do. And we built the site with that in mind. So that'll definitely be coming soon.
I recently heard Daniel Elk, founder of Spotify, maintain that they only invested about £5,000 in marketing for the UK and then relied on press and word of mouth to achieve the incredible results they had in just a few months. Do you share a similar view in regards to the promotion of Songkick, or are you planning on any major marketing push to get the general public to know about the service?
Well, I think that you've got to be honest about these things, and if you ever do any formal press relations, public PR, then you may have to spend some money to get various different newspaper outlets to know about you in the first place. And most people who have a relatively large launch will have done that. We didn't spend too much money on that, but we spent a little bit. But other than that, that's all we've spent money on, just a bit of money to get the word out when we first launched. And otherwise, through the growth of Songkick, it's been entirely word of mouth. Yeah, I think great thing about the web is that if people like something, there are so many ways to share that now. You can tweet it to your friend, you can share it on Facebook, you can talk about it on your blog, and so things that people like do tend to spread quite quickly.
Yeah, that's the one amazing thing about social networks at the moment, that you don't need, as you did maybe in a web company 10 years ago, a huge press push or marketing or advertising campaign to let people know about your service. as long as you have a great interface built up, you can actually get it out there relatively cheaply. But
yeah, absolutely.
The content has to be there, otherwise people are not gonna go to the site.
And I think it's really just about whether you kind of have something remarkable or not. If you have something that's sort of a very incremental improvement on what exists already, it's harder to kind of get that coverage. But if you release something that sort of is remarkable by how different it is to what is already in the market, then I tend to find that journalists are really excited to cover it. So it's sort of you get a lot more, you get natural push up that as well.
I don't want to keep you too long, so I'm gonna finish with asking what is on the horizon for Songkick after the launch of last week. Are you planning to move onto mobile platforms anytime soon, or have you got anything else in the pipes?
So we've got a couple of things we're really excited about. The first is we're going to create an API into all of our data, and that's a huge amount of data going back to the 60s on concerts and venues and things like that. So we're hoping that people will build some pretty cool things on top of that. And then we're also excited about mobile as well, allowing people to kind of take Songkick on their mobile device and do some kind of cooler things that the kind of location aware kind of functionality enables. And hoping to launch that later this year. So I'll keep you posted when we do.
That's great. Well, thanks very much, and look forward to having you on the show again whenever you have something new or anything to announce, basically.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Andrea.
Thanks a lot.